Hey Canada, what's new with you? So we're deporting like the most amount of people in a decade. Oh, how many? Around 400 deportations per week. Apparently last year we deported 18,000 people. That cost us $78 million. And now we're deporting even more. But why now? In 2015, we accepted a lot more refugees. We were rarely deporting any. But then because our population grew too fast, our housing, healthcare, and schools were under pressure. We're like, okay, now we're gonna be strict about immigration. We said it costed $78 million to deport 18,000 people. Yeah, it costs around $12,500 per person. Why? Well, each person deported needs an escort, and escorts are used for medical needs, safety risks, and risks of escaping. And it costs around $12,500 per person. Well, who are you deporting? Like criminals or just normal asylum seekers? So most people deported had their refugee claims rejected. Like only 7% were deported for a crime. And who are the most people you're deporting? Well, the most common citizenships here that get deported are either from Mexico or India. Well, yeah, we are deporting a lot more people now than we did in the past. Well, I really wonder what people think about this.
Canada's now deporting 400 people a week. I definitely feel for these people. They come with fragile dreams that feel like a one-shot gamble, but the previous administration was just taking people at triple capacity, zero blueprint, and calling it compassion. So it's unfortunate, but the grim reality is booking an appointment with their illusions, and it's ugly.
The Canada Border Services Agency is removing about 400 people a week from the country, a pace of deportation not seen in over a decade.
Overwhelmingly, it is refugee claimants, failed refugee claimants who are being removed in these numbers.
This refugee lawyer says the government may be preparing for its border bill, C-12, which it hopes to pass in the spring.
Our concern is that it will continue to rise once the border bill is passed, and that it is a ramping up to basically prepare both for the increased number of deportations that will happen and also for them to be able to do them as speedily as possible.
Removals dropped below 10,000 a year during the COVID pandemic, but have since surged back. The numbers for the current fiscal year are on track to set a new record high of about 22,000. The cost of all those deportations has also increased to nearly $80 million this year. CBSA says it costs between $3,000 and $4,000 on average to remove someone who leaves willingly without the need for escort. When deportees have to be escorted out of the country, the average cost more than triples.
Just to be clear,
the Kearney government, under its border plan, already gave CBSA an additional $30 million to pay for up to 20,000 removals per year this year and next. The agency says it's on track to deport even more than that. Not all deportees came as asylum seekers. Some came as foreign workers and international students, only to see the rules get tighter.
You might say, well, there are just more and more people who are removable and we have to deal with them. It's important to think about how policy choices create more deportable people.
The Kearney government has said it wants to slow population growth in Canada, and it appears to be succeeding. Canada's population actually dropped in the last fiscal quarter by 76,000 people, the largest quarterly drop ever recorded.
Hello guys, welcome back once again to the channel. I hope you're having a great time with family, friends and relatives this festive season, and please enjoy. Now, Canadians, the immigration crisis in Canada is a very big deal to Canadians, to an extent that some of the Canadians are demanding for mass deportations the way they are doing it in the United States. And apparently this immigration crisis is literally affecting like every sector in Canada. And Canadians demanding this deportation, it means that they are feeling the impact this immigration, this mass immigration to Canada is causing. Now, the government seems like they have been seeing what Canadians have been demanding, mass deportations. But instead, they decided, you know what, let's just answer Canadians' wish or prayers. Let's start deporting these illegal immigrants, these fake asylum seekers, these fake refugees, these people whose visas has been expired, these international students who don't want to go back to their homes, these criminals and so on. But instead of doing it the way Canadians want it, they are deporting 400 immigrants per week. Roughly, that should be a year have got maybe 52 weeks. 52 divided by 400, that is roughly 20,800 a year. And Canada is taking in over 1 million immigrants. Let's see what Canadians had to say about this immigration crisis and these numbers, then we shall be commenting about it.
They have allowed people to come to this country and get visitor visas and other permits to enter Canada without actually performing any criminal background checks. To this day, there are 400 criminals who have since been ordered deported but have not left and have vanished completely into Canadian society. Furthermore, our legal system now discriminates against Canadians and in favor of non-Canadian, non-citizen criminals who are here. In fact, lowering the sentences that they receive for convictions in order to allow them to stay. An unbelievable perversion of justice, which does exactly the opposite of what we should seek. It should be a stated policy of our system to get criminals out of Canada. If someone is not a citizen, not a Canadian, and commits a crime, then they should be shown the door, because becoming a citizen of this country requires good, law-abiding behavior that will protect the well-being and the interests of this country.
Not only is mass deportation incredibly unethical and inhumane, it's also incredibly costly. A lot of anti-immigrant and pro-deportation arguments that I see in Canada hinge on this idea that Canada's economy cannot sustain immigration. But instead, we should be talking about how Canada's economy can't sustain deportation. Our previous government under Trudeau reduced immigration hugely, and the current government is aiming to reduce immigration even more. Currently, non-permanent residents stand at about 7% of the total Canadian population, but Carney wants to get that number down to 5%. And we're already seeing the massive impacts that this reduction in immigration is having on the Canadian economy. In 2024, Canada deported 18,000 people. And guess how much that cost? It cost $78 million. Next, we're already seeing the massive impact that the reduction on temporary foreign workers is having as well. Construction companies and farming companies alike have been telling us how there is literally no one else left to hire. Canadian companies are losing profit and having to scale back because of the reductions in foreign workers. And that's not to mention the fact that the massive reductions in international student visas is also having an impact on the ability of our universities to function. Universities across Canada depend on the revenue stream from international students. Now that they aren't getting it, universities are expecting a $2.1 billion loss. And as someone who works in a university setting, I can say that on the ground, we're already seeing this. We're seeing reductions in scholarships, grant money, and just general funding for student programming. Speaking more generally, immigrants across a ton of different sectors contribute hugely economically to Canada. In fact, newcomers to Canada added an estimated 2.5% to Canada's level of potential labor output. And they also pay taxes. And while there aren't very many numbers from a Canadian context, we know that even just among undocumented immigrants in the United States, they paid over $100 billion in taxes. So we can determine that in Canada, yeah, the taxes that are being paid by immigrants are having a hugely positive economic impact. And all these contributions are also in the context that most immigrants don't draw on any social services. Taken together, if we consider the massive cost that it is to actually deport people, with the fact that migrants and immigrants in Canada contribute hugely to our economy while also drawing on very few resources, clearly there is a net positive to our economy to not mass deporting immigrants. We need immigrants. And yet, economics guy Carney is still putting through things like Bill C-12, which are massively anti-migrant bills, which are likely going to result in tons more deportations. If Carney really cared about the economy, he wouldn't be deporting people en masse. Instead, he would make it easier and safer for migrants to have due process and legal process in Canada.
Tell you right now, this is gonna blow your mind. 5 million visitors visas were issued without any criminal record check whatsoever. All that the people had to do is check a box on a piece of paper and say, yeah, I'm good to go. I have never done anything in my entire life. And Canada's like, approved.
File of a young girl is on the UK sex offender registry. So I ask you again, if there's screening, as you're suggesting, how did he get a visitor visa?
So again, Canadians are concerned when reports suggest someone who's committed serious crimes abroad has entered Canada. And that is exactly why Canada must continue to maintain and strengthen the screening and enforcement systems.
That's a talking point. I'm talking about an actual case of a rapist who came into this country, who from a G7 country, who was on the child abuse registry of the United Kingdom.
Okay.
Clearly giving me a talking point as an answer doesn't answer the question of how that person got into this country.
So IRCC can't disclose individual cases, but on this one it is public, and I will tell you what the court decision, because it's gone to court, so the decision is public, indicates the individual moved to Spain in 2020, then came to Canada on a visitor visa in 2023, did not disclose his criminal history on the visa application, and he has now been found inadmissible and is being deported.
That response, in general, was in a National Post story on October 6, 2025, a day that you were the Minister of Immigration in this country. Okay? So basically, does it all it take for someone's background check? Is it okay with you if someone just doesn't tick off the box that says I have a criminal record as a proper screening for coming into the country?
So Canada,
a proper screen would have surely found this individual.
So Canada has a robust screening process.
I doubt it. This is not explaining it at all. Really? You have a robust screening system when someone that's on the child registry got into this country? It begs the question, how many more of these vile people are walking around our streets, in our communities, around our schools, around our communities?
There's probably thousands of people. They're not screening anyone. They just check a box and they let the person in, and this is evidence. And she is reading a newspaper article, not prepared. She doesn't know what she's doing for her job. We have the most incompetent people running major departments, and our safety is at risk. That's it for today.
I'm past the point about caring about anyone's feelings when I say this, but we are now at a point where we are going to lose hundreds of thousands of jobs in Canada because of Donald Trump's tariffs. We have over 4 million temporary residents in this country. Let me remind you, 50,000 students didn't show up to their first day of class because they fraudulently came into the country, said they were coming here on a student visa so they can come into the country, and now they're taking Canadian jobs. Now more than ever, we need mass deportations, and we need to slow down immigration because our economy cannot sustain the growth of immigrants coming in and the decline in the economy that's going to happen with the massive job losses. Deport, deport, deport. This is when you know things have gotten bad. There is a mass deportation sign over a highway. This was done yesterday. Yesterday it was -15. That's how you know Canadians have had enough. They are literally willing to go out there and freeze their butts off just to hold up a sign that says mass deportation. And here's the crazy thing. This video will get more views than they got while they were holding it on the highway. And you want to know why? Because I'm in full support of this. And not for law-abiding citizens. For immigrants, for criminals, for people who are raiding our country, for our resources that are taking up our healthcare, that are taking up hospital beds. If you're illegal in the country, that means you shouldn't be here. If it were me, I would literally use our army. That's why it's called illegal immigration. Your visa's expired and you're not a contributing member to a society. You're not working. You're stealing. You're a criminal. Bye-bye.
Toronto, I hope you're ready. We're going to start 2026 with a bang. Canada First movement going to set the tone for the year. We are holding another rally at Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto, 1 p.m. to stop mass immigration, to start deportations, and to secure and close our borders. At this point, guys, we need patriots to rise. You take a look across Europe, they're rising up by the thousands, guys. By the thousands. It's time to be bold. It's time to be brave. It's time to put it all on the line. Is this country worth fighting for to you? Is this country worth the battle, worth your time, worth the effort to bring this country back to its glory? Is the next generation worth fighting for? to you, because it is to me. That's what this is all about. We're fighting for our future, our culture, our identity, our way of life, the next generation of children coming up that have to see this garbage. We have to provide them a better future than what we had. So it's up to us, the people. No politicians coming to save you, your family, this country. It's not happening. It's up to us. So at the end of the day, guys, Canada First movement is coming back to Toronto. We're going to start 2026 with a bang.
You know, I always say, unless there is will to change Canada, there will be no change in Canada. And right now, it seems like the Canadian government, there is a will to change Canada, but they are not willing to change Canada. Because deporting 400 people per week, and at the same time, you are taking in over 1 million immigrants per year, and you are taking in 1 million immigrants a year, and then you are deporting 20,000. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even cause an impact. And this is what exactly Canadians are talking about. They need to dig deeper. They need to go beyond. Canadians are saying those numbers should increase. Seek these fake illegal immigrants. Seek those who are in Canada illegally with no papers. Those international students who ends up coming in Canada with their visas and then ends up being a no-show at school. They don't attend classes. Those are the ones that we want them be deported. We want these visitors who come to Canada with the visitor's visa and then they stick into Canada. You've seen on that video, at least 5 million visitors with no proper background check were allowed in Canada. Canadians are demanding these people to be deported. Those who misuse the Canada border policy to come into Canada and then start working, and then they are saying we are in Canada as students, as visitors. Those are the kind of people Canadians want to be deported, and they should be deported until there is an impact. But 400 people per week, it means we are deporting 20,000 per year, and we still allowing in to 1 million immigrants a year. It will cause no impact, because when a country allows in more immigrants, it means that the Canadians are being forced to share the available resources with these immigrants, including schools, houses, colleges, EBT cards, or let's say food stamps, every other resource that a Canadian needs to survive in Canada. They will be forced to share with these immigrants. We will start hearing clashes like at the workplaces. Immigrants will start taking these jobs. Employers will start choosing these immigrants because they know they will pay them less than Canadians. And these are some of the issues that are affecting Canadians. When they call for mass deportation, they mean mass deportation. They mean something serious. And this mass deportation should be done appropriately. You don't have papers, go back to your country. You came into Canada and you don't want to study, and you are saying you are in Canada with a study visa, go back to your country. You are an illegal immigrant, go back to your country. You are a fake asylum seeker, go back to your country. You are a visitor, but at the same time your visa has expired, go back to your country. That is exactly how Canadians want it to be done, according to these videos you've just seen. But this issue of deporting 400 to Canadians, it doesn't make sense. And to me also, I think it doesn't make sense that we are allowing in over 1 million immigrants, and then we are sending 20. It doesn't add up. But you do tell me you to think about this in the comments.